Hello again everyone and welcome back to Skyblock News. I'm your host Derailious and tonight we're going to be going over the Greenhouse Alpha with a bunch of new additions, new crops, and more. Before we begin, make sure to like and subscribe, use code RAIL in the Hypixel store for 5% off your order, and without any further ado, let's get started. Starting off here, there's a lot of high-level stuff we need to go over that has changed with regard to the garden. Some of the biggest include the introduction of some new crops, the new chip system, and a whole lot more. Starting off, going to the collections, we can see that there's 3 brand new collections: Sunflower, Wild Rose, and Moonflower. Notably, you are in fact able to make plots for the Wild Rose and for the Sunflower. As you can see over here, here is a Wild Rose plot. Now, how do you get these? Apparently, you get these from spreading them in the greenhouse. So you are going to have to interact with the greenhouse in order to get these new crops, but once you're able to get them, you will be able to utilize them as per usual. On top of that, if you go over to the new minion, there is in fact a new minion. There is a sunflower minion. This will make sunflowers and also has the ability to make moonflowers, which is the other crop that's been added. So keep that in mind. That's how you're going to get the 3 new crops. Another big change is related to pretty much every single hoe or farming tool in the game. Now they are all levelable. You'll be able to start off with a tier 1 hoe or tier 1 whatever, and that'll level up over time as you break more crops. As you level it up, you are able to increase the rarity, once at level 15 and another time at level 30. When you are breaking anything in terms of your garden stuff with these new materials or with these new tools, you will get sawdust. Sawdust is a new currency of some sort that seems to be on the right side of the screen, and it allows you to upgrade your chips, it seems like. So as you can see, I could left click this to level up, and boom, 100k sawdust is gone, but now I get more farming fortune. There are many different types of chips in the game. Hovering them over all, we could see that they have a ton of different effects. So starting from the top left, there's bonus pest chance, there's synthesis, in which analyzing a mutation in the crop analyzer gives you more copper. There's also the Solage chip, which gives you more farming wisdom. There's also the Mecha Mine chip. This one gives you more farming tool experience. There's one that gives you temporary farming fortune buffs being way stronger. There's stuff related to more base crops in the greenhouse. The Overdrive chip gives you more crop fortune for the active crop during Jacob's farming contest. This one just gives you base farming fortune. This one decreases the time for visitors to appear. And on top of that, there's the Rare Finder chip, which increases the chance to find rare items when breaking crops by 2%. So all of this is in fact notable and pretty important. You are going to be leveling these up, and you can also see where you get these all from the actual chips themselves. So if you're ever confused, you can just hover over this menu and be like, all right, this one's rarely from farming crops. Great. Crop and visitor milestones have also been nerfed very significantly. As you can see on screen right now, there's been a drop in crop milestones by 68%, which is pretty crazy across the board. And also, if you look at visitor milestones, they are down from 10,000 as a max to 2,500, which should be way more reasonable to hit. When the carpenter arrives on your garden, you will be able to go to the greenhouse. This is something that you could do pretty much immediately once you actually give him what he requires. So in this case, he needs mutant netherwort. I'm going to open up Centauri. I'm going to wait for it to load. I'm going to grab myself some netherwort if I can find it. There it is. 1, 2, 3, 4. Boom, click that, greenhouse blueprint, incredible. So as you can see, I need to take this to Sam, I'll take it to Sam, and then I get the blueprint for the greenhouse. It's shocking stuff, I know. So once you actually give the blueprint to Sam, she'll tell you we need some resources. It notably seems to be enchanted oak logs as well as enchanted sand, so do keep that in mind. Once we have the resources, we can click again on Sam, and then boom, we are finally able to build the greenhouse. I imagine that just means going over to the plots area, going over to configure one of my plots, clicking on one, and convert to greenhouse. There we go. So it doesn't actually require any money, any materials, nothing like that. You're just able to immediately start pasting it, which is very cool. And there we go. Now we can watch it start being pasted. Another important thing to note here about the chips specifically is that you will need to get extra chips if you want to level up past level 10 and then eventually past level 15, it seems like. So if I use a few more, as you can see, I can get that epic upgrade. Then boom, I can go back here. I can get some additional farming fortune, as you can see. And then I need another 16 in order to get it up to legendary tier. So let's do that. Upgrading the tier also seems to upgrade the amount by which the perk increases every single level. So in terms of every single one of these buffs, they're going to be extremely useful to max out. And making sure that you're getting them all through doing all of the different activities throughout the garden will be extremely useful to help you progress quite a lot faster. Some of the other biggest additions that I want to go over are the Plot Eraser. This is a new item that you can get. This uses a plumber's sponge as well as a bunch of enchanted wild roses, which you would need to get originally from the greenhouse, but then you can just grind them. And this one allows you to right click it, and then boom, a plot that you click it on will be completely cleaned instantly, which is absolutely amazing. There's also the new rose item. This is really cute. It's a bachelor's rose. You need to use a lot of compacted wild roses as well as poppies on it, but it allows you to right click any eligible NPC on a public island to invite them to visit your garden, which is very nice to see. It's going to make it a lot easier to grind out certain NPCs. Another brand new addition here are the Thorny Vines. This is basically an item that you can utilize getting a bunch of enchanted cactus as well as enchanted wild roses and a lever, but you can put this in a flower minion to exclusively produce wild roses. This also increases the speed of your minion by 20% with an unlimited duration. This is going to be extremely nice if you already have a flower minion. When you enter the greenhouse, things are a little bit different. You actually pick up a watering can extremely quickly, and watering crops inside the greenhouse works very differently than normal. You'll have to till the land, you'll have to place the crops, but you'll have to water them as well in order to keep them healthy, as you can see by just spam clicking on this. And that increases the water meter above the carrot. So as you can see, boom, now my carrot is fully watered, it seems like, and it took a bunch of water from my can. Over a period of time, your item will grow, whatever it may be. So in this case, it's a carrot. I can harvest it, and boom, that's my first crop done. Now, obviously, every future crop is not going to be nearly as quick, but for now, at least we got something. The big special thing with this update is that pretty much every single crop you can place in your greenhouse has positive and negative effects when it comes to other crops. So I could take 2 seeds, for example, and I can water them both if I grab my watering can. And there we go. Now we're starting to water them. Hold on, this is a bit of a process, as you can see. There's one. And there's the other. Now that we have both of those done, we pick up a plant diagnostics tool, which allows you to analyze the properties of the plant. As you can see here, you can see its wheat, you can see its growth stage, as well as how many stages it will take to grow. You can see the water level, you can see the effects that are applied. So as you can see, it applies Harvest Boost, which increases the yield by 20%. It also has the effect Harvest Boost because it gets it from the other seed. So keep that in mind. How this works basically is that you're going to be strategically placing different crops around one another in order to maximize benefits. So this stacks together. As you can see, one has the effect and one gives the effect. So this one is getting it from this and vice versa. There's also a bunch of mutations that exist. They're very interesting to discover, but right now Sam only knows how to spread one of them. You need an empty piece of farmland with 4 wheat crops in a plus shape. So that's the first total mutation. Alrighty, so we placed down the 4 wheat in the plus shape and Sam immediately watered them for us. They grew the plant for us and boom, there we go. Now we get our mutation, so we can harvest it right in the middle of the wheat. There we go, it immediately popped in my inventory. I thought that wasn't going to work. And this is a dust grain, as you can see. This is a new mutation. Fragile and dry, it crumbles with the slightest touch. So basically, you'll need to analyze this crop by speaking to the carpenter and I think eventually doing Beth's quest. So in actually speaking to the carpenter, we can see a few things here. Notably, you can see a crop guide. This gives you all the info about every single crop currently in the game. These base crops do various things. Wheat increases yield, carrots increase farming XP of adjacent crops, potatoes provide immunity to negative effects, pumpkins provide a harvested items additionally roll from an extra loot pool bonus, which is really neat. Sugarcane increases farming XP but reduces yield. Melon slices retain the watering status of adjacent crops by 50%. Cactus retains watering status by 100% but decreases the yield. The cocoa beans provide immunity as well. Mushroom increases yield but reduces the watering status, so you're going to have to pay attention to that one. Netherwort increases yield but reduces XP. Sunflower also has an extra loot pool, and wild roses spread other buffs and debuffs on the current crop to adjacent crops. So this one's kind of a wild card. There's also mutation info, and as you can see, there's a lot of stuff here that you can do. I literally won't be able to go through all of it right now. This is really up to the community to fully discover, because there's multiple pages, and not only that, you will need to unlock pretty much every other type of mutation in order to get the full list complete. And not only will you need to use farmland, but you'll need to use soul sand as well, and I think a few others, yeah, they require endstone, so you will actively have to do a ton of different things in order to get all mutations, and in order to unlock plant slots, when you spread a mutation, there's a chance to grow an ethereal vine. This will allow you to unlock additional plant slots in your greenhouse. Right now, everything with Podzol is stuff that I just literally cannot use. I can't break it or anything like that. I will need to get the ethereal vines from spreading mutations. So the early game is going to be really built around maximizing vines, and then once you have a larger area, you'll get all the crops unlocked. Taking a look at the Sky Mart, there's a new section devoted to the greenhouse where you can access some important information. Notably, you can increase the growth speed of pretty much any crop in the greenhouse by a very significant percentage. This will cost compost as well as copper. It will also reward you with quite a bit of Skyblock XP. This also goes to the plant yield. You are able to increase yields fairly significantly. Notably, this is compost, copper, and Skyblock XP, so make sure you level this up. Finally, there's the plot limit. Notably, you are able to get multiple plots. Now, I'm not able to see it right now because the game is lagging like crazy, but if we're able to hop into the menu, we can see there is, in fact, multiple plots you can unlock. I believe there's 3 total greenhouses you can get, but you do need to get all of the current crop slots unlocked in order to get a new one, which kind of makes sense. There's also a new ultimate enchant that I want to go over kind of briefly. This is Crop Fever. When breaking crops, you have a very small percentage chance to trigger Crop Fever. During this Crop Fever period, you roll additional crops for 60 seconds with a 15% increased chance of rare drops and 100 farming fortune. I imagine this can be upgraded. You get this with moonflowers as well as a jukebox. And once again, you get the moonflowers from, it seems like, the sunflower minion with a special buff applied to it, as well as from the greenhouse itself. So taking a look, we can see the night switch. This is something that you'd put in a sunflower minion to exclusively produce moonflower. I imagine that the way this works based on the phrasing is that the sunflower minion produces sunflowers during the day, and you'll never guess what it produces during the evenings. But as you can see, this is a bunch of enchanted moonflower as well as enchanted endstone and a lever. You put that in the minion, boom, you get moonflower. There is also a matching night switch for the day. This is the day switch. This one can be put inside of a sunflower minion to exclusively produce sunflowers. And this costs enchanted sunflower as well as enchanted sand, as well as a lever. There has also been a new pet added alongside this, the crow pet. As you can see, it's over here and a recipe for it exists. It costs a bunch of enchanted moonflower as well as an enchanted egg, and its base stats are relatively decent, giving you some intelligence, some ability damage, and also lowering the cooldown of your abilities. Taking a look at the level 100 legendary variant, this one gives you 150 intelligence, 20% ability damage, lowers the cooldown of your abilities by 15%. After casting an ability, it increases your defense by 20 for 20 seconds, which is capped at 500 total defense for the amount of abilities that you use. And it also has the perk Insightful, which gives you a 15% chance to not consume mana when using an ability, which I imagine will be very strong for mage players. Taking a look at the Sky Mart, there are a couple new things I want to go over here. Notably, there are upgrades to the Lotus equipment. Now there is the Blossom equipment, which is nice to see. There's also the Sunflower Minion 12, which is also great. There's also 2 new garden chips here, which you can pick up, notably the Farming Wisdom and the Farming Fortune chips, so pick those up with copper. And there are upgrades to the watering can. This increases the amount of water it dispenses per second, and it also has a higher capacity and can spread water in a larger area at once. You can also pick up a plant diagnostics tool if you ever lose yours. Another thing I wanted to note here is it actually seems like Fermento now has an upgrade line past Fermento. So as you can see, the tiered bonus basically makes it so that you have a very small chance when farming wild roses, sunflowers, and moonflowers that you will get a Helianthus. Helianthus can be seen in the recipes area. This is basically a brand new variant of something like Fermento or Squash or Crappie, and you can use it to upgrade Fermento into this new set. This new set will be slightly better. As you can see, it'll combine the tiered bonuses of wearing everything together. It'll also grant you farming fortune, and it costs a lot of the new crops. Also note that the helmet, it seems like, as well as the boots, give you even more farming fortune. So there is definitely reason to make this armor set if you currently have Fermento. Really nice to see. There's also a Helianthus relic, which is the Fermento artifact, leveled up once again. In order to get access to the crop analyzer, you will need to get Beth to your garden, and you will need to speak to her. There's basically a whole new quest that revolves around her. You just will need to fulfill her request. So let's get some enchanted cactus over at Centauri. And there we go. So basically, we will need to go back to the underground lab in the desert. So let's head over there. So apparently there is more to uncover with the underground lab and the lore between her and Jake, which for some reason they're continuing the storyline, which I find pretty interesting. And she goes over to the corner and she's like, this wall does not look right. Looks exactly like that one to me, but I'm going to be honest, whatever. Apparently there's a hidden passage that we'll never be able to understand because of this lever. And we pull the lever on the wall, and there we go. Looks like a door opens, and we're in a special part of the underground lab. It's interesting that they're actually going with a quest line. I've got to say, this is a positive for the game as a whole. I hope they continue to do this in future updates. I know you're kind of getting the first-time experience of this all, but it's definitely interesting. So after quite a bit of a lore dump, you'll end up being with Jake over here in the underground lab, and he'll talk to you about the crop analyzer and tell you to bring him a dust grain. So basically, we will need to place the dust grain inside the machine to analyze the mutation. So there we go, it costs some coins, and we have to connect the DNA strings with their matching color connectors over here. So basically how this works is it's effectively a minigame in which you have to connect the left side to the right side by swapping things in the middle. So we'll start off by swapping these two, and we'll have to swap yellow around to move it up. And there we go. Then we can see a lot of this already is set up for us, which is nice. And I bet we just don't have to have any breaks in the line. So keep that in mind. You will need to keep the lines effectively connected. So red we want up. Yellow we would love to move up as well. I know this isn't the most efficient way to do this, but I am kind of going quickly here. There we go. And for getting the dust grain analysis done, we get it as a crop that has been analyzed. We can see it in the mutations here, which is notable. And you also get quite a bit of copper. For actually participating in this and putting crops into the analyzer, you will get a bunch of milestones done. These milestones include a new talisman line, a new mutation sack, an upgrade to the hydro cans, so if you want to get the higher watering cans, you will need to participate in this, more crop growth, more farming fortune, and Skyblock XP. You'll also get some other items, notably you'll get some overgrown grass at the second milestone, you'll get the medium mutation sack at the third, at the fourth you'll get the ring for the bioanalysis talisman, there's also the upgraded Aqua Master Hydromax watering can, so that's at tier 4 for 20 of the total mutations. At 30 mutations, you get a greenhouse skin, as well as the large mutation sack, and for maxing it out, you get the bioanalysis artifact upgrade. So quite a few nice rewards here. Really nice to see some actual quest lines included in the game, and these nice rewards that are built in. And as you can see, Bioanalysis Talisman increases the chance for crops to mutate by 5%. There's also some other stuff you can do. You can mass analyze things, which is going to be really nice if you have a ton of crops that you need to analyze. And there's also the info on the bottom left. So definitely a fun little system. I think people are going to enjoy this a little bit, but it might become a little bit tedious as time goes along. Something else I want to note here is that there is a brand new pet added to the game. This is the Rose Dragon pet, and it seems like we're going to get it from Ludleth, which is an NPC. The problem is, nobody, I think, has this pet yet, and it's not in anywhere in the API. They didn't show it to us, so I have no idea what its perks are, but I imagine it's just going to be a farming variant of stuff like the Jade Dragon, which was for foraging, and the Golden Dragon, which is for combat. I will update this in the comments when I find out the perks officially. I will have it listed there, but for now, you will have to check the comments. I am very sorry. Wrapping up here, tomorrow I will have a follow-up video out for all of the mutations. I'm sorry, I'm just unable to get them all in tonight because people are going to be having to figure these out over the next few hours, probably going into the next day or two because of how long it's going to take to just figure out all the different combinations of pretty much everything included in this update. I do think it looks pretty exciting though. It seems like the gameplay loop is relatively standard. You're doing mostly active farming still, with the additional farming coming from your greenhouse, and then you use that greenhouse to get a bunch of mutations, which you use in the crop analyzer to get some buffs. Those buffs go right back into active farming with all of the new upgrades, the sow dust, the new chips, as well as leveling up your farming tools. Eventually, at the end game level, once you have all of the visitors, you will be able to pick up your Rose Dragon, and then you're good to go. Definitely excited to see this come to main. I think it looks pretty solid already, but it's kind of in a state where I'm unable to discern how good it's going to be. My view of it, though, at the moment, is that it's definitely better than it is worse, if that makes sense. At the end of the day, though, my name's Derailious. Thank you so much for watching this video till the end, and look to the future, fellas. I'll see you then.